Hey guys, it's Protendo, and even though Animal Crossing New Horizons is a fantastic game, it's no secret to most fans of the series that more than a few special characters are missing. This has sparked a lot of arguments on the internet, some people believing that the game isn't good or feels incomplete simply because of its small cast of characters. Do I think New Horizons is a bad game? No, absolutely not. But the Animal Crossing series has never been the type to remove this many beloved characters, so I am a little disappointed on that front, and I completely understand why some people believe that New Horizons isn't a finished game, per se. But luckily for us, we know that New Horizons is going to be getting tons of updates in the future, and through data mining and leaks, we already know that certain characters will be returning sometime soon. So I thought it would be fun to go over some of the missing characters in New Horizons, and discuss what roles they might have when/if they join the Deserted Island Getaway package. Now, there's a lot of missing characters in New Horizons, so I didn't want to go over all of them in a single video for the sake of length, but if you guys are interested in a part 2, make sure to let me know in the comments. But without further ado, let's get started with the character who's definitely the most talked about right now, Brewster. Brewster is the missing character who is the most likely to join the game really soon. In fact, I think we'll see him before summer. Dialogue has been found mentioning him and the Roost, and there's currently an unused room in the game's files titled Museum Cafe. Now, it doesn't take a genius to guess that Brewster is going to set up shop in the museum, but I definitely think it's going to go further than that. In Animal Crossing New Horizons, characters don't just plop down fully equipped. Blather starts in a tent until you give him enough specimens to open up the actual museum. Mabel starts as a traveling saleswoman until you buy enough clothes to interest her in opening the Able Sisters. This all feeds into the game's sense of progression. So here's what I think is going to happen with Brewster. He'll start off at the museum because we know that him and Blathers are good friends, but after you've visited him enough times and bought enough coffee, he'll express interest in opening up a full-on cafe, which you then get to choose a location for. In my opinion, it would definitely feel like a bit of a backtrack for Brewster's character for him to go back to the museum after having his own cafe in New Leaf, so this way he'll still keep his accomplishments. Additionally, another unused room titled Museum Haniwa was found in New Horizons files, Haniwa being the Japanese title for gyroids. And as we know, Brewster is quite the fan of these little guys. New Horizons doesn't feature gyroids at this point in time, but I think it's pretty safe to say that they'll be added with Brewster. I think you'll be able to donate them to him and he'll place them in his temporary museum cafe, but once he opens his own cafe, he'll leave them behind in an actual exhibit, allowing you to donate gyroids to Blathers instead. Tortimer being dead is definitely one of the funnier memes in the Animal Crossing community, but his absence still hurts in New Horizons because he's always been one of my favorite characters. As for what he'll do if he's added, well, I think it'll be almost exactly the same as what he did in New Leaf. Nintendo's been using New Horizons' 8-player multiplayer as a big selling point, but there really isn't anything to do while you're playing online. That's why I think Tortimer's Island is going to make its grand return this summer, a tropical destination where you can play various minigames with your friends. You'll be able to get there using the airport. Don't worry, I have a plan for Cap'n later on. But one of the main differences is that Tortimer's Island will actually act as a retirement home of sorts for animals who've been replaced by their younger counterparts, specifically Nat, Chip, and Joan. Nat and Chip would be in charge of all bug catching and fishing related minigames, and Joan would be able to give you a prediction for that week's best turnip selling day. Once again, the Animal Crossing series doesn't usually remove popular characters without a trace. When we took Tortimer's role as mayor in New Leaf, they didn't just leave him out, they gave him a new important role. I think it's safe to say that we'll see these three again, even if they've been replaced by other characters in their old jobs. Cap'n is another character who I'm very confident will return. I mean, New Horizons has this dock for seemingly no reason. Sure, you can catch certain fish from it, but that definitely wasn't something necessary for them to include. And as we know, Cap'n always keeps his boat by the dock. I'd like to explain why I don't think Cap'n will be the one to take you to Tortimer's Island. It really just doesn't make sense. Think about it, the seaplane in New Horizons is literally only there for the purpose of taking us to other islands. It wouldn't make sense for Tortimer's Island to be the sole exception, forcing us to use a secondary mode of transportation for some strange reason. I think Cap'n's new role will be something I suggested a while back, being the captain of a fishing boat. When you hop on Cap'n's boat, he'll take you out to sea, allowing you to catch some rare fish. This would mean that instead of being docked 24/7, Cap'n would be a temporary visitor, like Label or Wisp or various other characters in New Horizons, but I think that's okay. Moving on, we have Harriet. Now, Harriet's one of those characters whose absence doesn't really mean much in my opinion. She's essentially been replaced by the mirror, which allows you to change your appearance instantly, for free, and accurately, instead of having to be asked a bunch of questions. Nevertheless, if we see Harriet return, I think she'll be a temporary visitor who offers mystery makeovers. She would ask for 3,000 bells and give your hair a random design and color, both of which are exclusive to her mystery makeovers. I think this is a good way to make Harriet useful in a world where she's been replaced by something much more convenient. Next, let's talk about Crazy Red. Technically speaking, Red is the only character whose disappearance makes sense canonically, considering that the Island Getaway package is run entirely by Tom Nook, and their relationship is one of betrayal and deceit. But there actually is evidence pointing to his return, as certain animals and parts of New Horizons' code have mentioned the museum's art exhibit, and such a thing doesn't yet exist. I think that Red's going to play the exact same role he played in New Leaf, selling art. I just can't see the museum opening up an art exhibit without Red in town to scam us. It wouldn't feel right. Also, there's this upper portion of the current museum layout that leads to absolutely nowhere, so that just further enforces the idea that Art and presumably Crazy Red are on their way. The next two characters I want to talk about are two that are very beloved by the fanbase, but what I'm going to suggest to them may seem strange. These two characters are Rover and Porter. Neither of them have ever played major roles in the series, but people are huge fans of them anyways. As I'm sure you've noticed, Rover and Porter are a cat and a monkey respectively. Two animal species that are already available residents in New Horizons. So if Nintendo really can't think of any other roles for the two of them, I can see them transforming them into normal villagers. That way, people can still have the satisfaction of seeing their favorite cat and monkey. Funnily enough, this wouldn't be an entirely new experience for Porter, as in Wild World and City Folk there was a monkey named Champ, who was a normal resident and looked suspiciously like Porter. Additionally, imagine the hype and satisfaction people would feel if they got one of these two in their town, knowing how special they both were. Would it be sad to tie them to a set personality? Yeah, sort of I guess, but let's be honest, it's not like Rover and Porter are oozing with personality to begin with. And finally, I'd like to discuss two characters who are technically already in New Horizons, but don't make any physical appearance. I'm of course referring to Sonny and Dawn Resetti. These two run the Rescue Rangers, a group dedicated to rescuing villagers who've gotten themselves stuck in town. It's really unfortunate that we don't actually get to interact with these characters, because Mr. Resetti is one of my favorite Animal Crossing characters of all time. So similarly to how we could visit the Reset Center after certain conditions were met in past games, I think Nintendo will eventually incorporate a Rescue Ranger Center that we can visit, allowing us to see what Sonny and Dawn are up to while they're not working. It would be tragic to not let us actually converse with these hilarious characters, so this is definitely one of my most wanted additions. But anyways guys, that's about it for this video about missing characters in New Horizons. Like I said before, there's still a ton of animals who haven't appeared in New Horizons yet, so if this video does well enough and you guys are interested in seeing a part 2, let me know in the comments below. Also, tell me which character you hope to see pop up in New Horizons the most. Protendo, out.